Good morning, just about. My name is Kirsty Dignam and I'm here to look at the energies this week with today's Monday's Musings on the 9th of February 2026. That you can see to the side of my screen, even though it looks very elusive and mystical, is actually a cup of coffee. And I share that because it's very important this week to be aware of the smoke and mirror type energy that is coming in. The only way we're really going to be able to do that is to be present. So this is not what I intended to actually talk about to begin with, at least, but in being open to what is going on around us and recognizing how linked that is, not only in how we feel and the interpretation of it, but the actions we are then called to do as a result, where we understand the puppeteering that is going on. Okay, so yeah, not where I would normally go. Okay, there is a shit ton going on in the collective. There are those that have been aware of it for a while. There are those that are just having this brought to their attention. And regardless what position you find yourself in, when something becomes more conscious, its ability to grow into something different also expands. Provided we can see everything that is occurring, our own perspective within that, and really heighten the intuitive knowing where we are coming from before we do anything. Truth is multifaceted. Truth is based on someone's translation of it. It is to be that way. It was always to be that way. Truth is a living, yes, thank you, entity that grows with our own understanding of it. All parts of truth are valid and relevant. And that often means that we can look at things that are going on outside of us and not make head nor tail of something. Particularly when it comes to things on the more global scale. The world that we once knew may not be anymore. And actually, when I say may not, it will not. As we go into April, by the end of this year, okay, it's going to be, we're going to look around and not recognize what we see around us, but be acutely aware of the changes that have happened. It's going to start in February. It's ongoing anyway. I'm not here to say those that have known this and those that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Life is continuously moving and growing and evolving, and these things are ongoing. So whilst there for some are things that are coming to light that are new, yes, for others this may have been known. And we can get in a tit for tat of who knew what and when they knew it, or we can be with the devastation that is coming to light at the moment, with the grief, the pain, the trauma, the abuse of power underneath it. And from there we can hold space with what is going on for us individually within that, and recognize that it isn't about holding or carrying the wound, but being aware of any shame, any guilt, any anger, anything that is rising within us, taking care of the body and allowing it to move and shift. Thank you, to recognize we are the change bringers in our emotions, in what we can be present with. Now, that's different for everybody, right? The reason this video is later than normal is because I've been living. I have been prioritizing. Let me reframe that, because that comes with judgment on my part. I have prioritized sorting out my home and getting the environment ready before I share what I share. And that is a priority for me. It may be different for other people, and that's fine. I've been living the life that I'm here to live. Okay, without the judgment on others, which is the other thing this week. It's going to be quite big. We're really going to feel that this week. The knee-jerk reaction to judge others, oh my god, if I had a penny, or yeah, a penny for every time I felt that reaction and nearly come out with verbal diarrhea of situations without being with my own energy this week, well, I'd be a lot better off than I am, because we're all human. Be aware of that. Be aware of the energy that is being added to the collective, and it isn't rocket science. You'll feel like shit. You will feel crabby. You will feel gnarly. You will feel... It won't be from the place of the heart. It will, but from the shadow aspect of love, from the shadow aspect of the pain that is being felt, from the guilt and the shame and the anger that is rising. Now, it's not to say that's not important. It is. Transformation takes all energies. Use it to elevate you, to create something different. I'm looking outside because there's so many magpies on the roof outside the window in front of me. And I'm looking at them because obviously you have the fable, right? You have the rhyme of what magpies mean. And, you know, this week, be very mindful of any superstitions that may come to light. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think. Yeah, be aware of any superstitions that may come to light. They will have their roots. Old wives' tales have their roots, but they're not the be-all and end-all. Okay, so whilst things may rise to the surface that are familiar, it doesn't mean they are the only option this week. The other thing is, when I look at the magpies, they are the archetype for the Hanged Man in my own deck. So seeing things from a different perspective, magpies are linked to crow wisdom, which is also linked to the violet ray and transformation. And underneath it all, even with my own wafflings, right, underneath it all, there is that ability, there is that promise, and that is the abuse of power that is occurring. It is going to get to us because it will be, you know, linked to the feminine, it will be linked to innocence, it will be linked to money, it will be linked to advantage, it will be linked to those that believe they have the right to things that they do not. But underneath it all, it is linked to the abuse of power. Underneath it all is about seeing that perspective and what actually wants to be transformed here. Beyond the obvious. What happens when we see the world? When we truly see another aspect of truth? When we see something that is uncomfortable? Well, our knee-jerk reaction, of course, is to not want to be around that, to not want to see that, and it will drag us down. This isn't about bypassing, this is being aware that our vibration is being brought down. When our vibration is brought down, that isn't always a negative thing. It helps us to come into our body, it helps us to ground, it helps us to feel our emotions. If we can feel our emotions, ground and be in the body. If we jump out of that, if we go back into the mind, or we try and numb what is occurring. Now, let me just say something here. Numbing doesn't always come in the form of shutting off our feelings. It can come in the form of believing we are doing something to create change when what we're doing actually is just expressing how we feel in a different way and adding to the wound. Okay? So be with the body. Feel what is going on and then share whatever you feel drawn to share. But be aware in the reflection and the response of what you may be offering without realizing. This is taking reflection and mirroring onto another level. Okay, this is taking matching. Yes, this is taking the whole neuro-linguistic programming of our brain, if you will, onto another level, but recognizing that the environment around us is doing that. Now, this isn't something that we don't already know. However, we haven't quite got through to the other side yet, because we feel something in our body collectively and we understandably start to lose hope and feel low. And that is part of the process, but emphasis being part of the process. Carry on. Keep going through. Feel what you're feeling. Do what you need to do. Take care of the body. Move with the body. Chop wood, carry water, come back to your family, come back, I feel that in my chest, come back to your community. What can you do? On a global scale, it can almost feel as if there's so much to be done that we don't know where to start. So bring it back to the here and now and your present moment. What can you do in your own environment to create that change, to create that ripple? This has been so often undermined, okay, and undervalued, but it is the most pivotal point of change. Think of the cogs in the wheel. If we're being turned a certain way, it's going to continue that impact. If we can come back to the body and we can ground and we can center and we can do what we do is enough. Now, I don't know about you guys, that's really been coming up for me this week, but if we can do what we do, share what we share, be with the things that we have chosen to prioritize, or at least be aware what we're choosing to prioritize and the impact that that has on the environment around us, then we can start to take responsibility for it. The other thing I want to share, I've had to close the door because of the kittens. They're at that age where they want to be outside, and they are going to be soon. I'm surprised that they're not calling, because whilst they want to be outside, whilst they're curious about what's going on outside, whilst they have outgrown their environment, they still have that abandonment issue where they want the door open, they want the freedom to come and go as they please. They want to still be in an environment that they are outgrowing. Much like the collective right now, okay? That's going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. That gap is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. Probably about a year ago, I was asleep and I saw, half awake, half asleep, you know, and I saw a tear almost in like the consciousness, the collective consciousness. I saw this tear, and what I see now is it's coming back. It's healing, okay? That gap, it's not about camps, it's not about what side you're on, but it is about recognizing you're outgrowing your environment. And that can be thoughts that are outdated. That can be ways of seeing yourself that are no longer relevant, that have helped you but are no longer relevant. That could be your gifts are expanding. And yes, thank you. The other thing I want to bring us onto is it's not just us that is outgrowing our environment. It is aspects such as the divine feminine. It has expanded in our consciousness beyond our own understanding and wants more room to be seen and to grow. And this is where it's not about bypassing, but it is about choosing your focus. Get in, do what you're here to do, and get on with the next thing. Keep determined, keep focused. By all means, if you feel drawn to something, explore it, but don't get lost in it. Make sure you come out the other side. It's Heyoka, baby. It's the Heyoka energy, right? We have so much going on astrologically. You know, I've already spoke about Neptune in Aries, and obviously we have, I think it's Saturn, yes, yeah, thank you. Saturn in Aries coming as well. These are all at 0-degree things. Now, I'm not an astrologist. I'm not an astrologer. But even I can feel, obviously we're in the age of Aquarius, which is great. We get so caught in the whole humanitarian type energy, but it's ruled by Uranus. So this is the unexpected. This is the sacred clown. This is the lightning bolt of the Tower card that brings forth that change. This is the invitation to transform, to shift. The other side of it is whether or not, well, it's not even whether or not we will do that. It's how uncomfortable we will allow things to be before we do that. And that gap is getting smaller. It is, you know, it is a creative contraction. We are going to feel the pressure. From now until April, really, we are going to feel almost like a spot that wants to pop. We are going to feel that pressure. So is there anything else on that? Well, the other thing that I've been seeing of late, well, literally the last 24 hours, when held in a safe, loving, Kundalini rising energy based environment, shall we say, I have been visualizing I see a rose a lot, okay, and I've been visualizing this rose that has gone from black to bright red to blue to now yesterday diamond shaped. And when I felt into it, I'm not going to share too much because I haven't embodied the information yet. I haven't processed the information yet myself, and that's key, right? Are we allowing what is going on to really come down through us, to really be processed through our body, to really go into the earth, hear the earth's response, and then allow that to come back up and to act from that space? Or are we getting a snippet of potential and running with it before it has had chance to conceive what it wants to be, what it needs to be? There's no right or wrong there, but obviously we are going to limit our own potential as a result. Of course we are. So yes, going back to the rose, I've seen this diamond rose It is related to creativity. It is related to manifestation. This is all I know so far. It's related to manifestation. It is related to the root and the sacral chakra. It is related to the conversations that we have with the earth. It is related to this. It's not a new feminine rising. It's a more complete whole feminine now that is coming up if we allow it to. And it demands that we be with our body. One of the biggest abuses of power, right, is this invitation to continuously leave our body, to go into our mind, to see massages and taking care of our body as a treat or a chore, and yet we're its guardian, to not like how we feel, so we placate it, to meditate emotions away, to numb things down, to react instead of internally responding. The body is the feminine. Okay, the spirit is the masculine, the body is the feminine. Anytime we are encouraged to leave our body, anytime we are encouraged to not be with what is physically happening or connecting to the earth, connecting to each other, we are caught in the abuse of power of the feminine. And that's really going to come to light. There are going to be many people that are asked to be with their body more on a deeper level than they've ever known. And it is because things are shifting, things are changing. Within the next 10 years or so, there will be a completely different or unrecognizable, it's not different, unrecognizable way of creating, because it will come with a more expanded awareness. And this is what's happening. But first we are going to be shown where we have exploited, all of us, where we have exploited, where we have abused, where we have demanded and taken from the ultimate feminine, which is the earth beneath us. So I'm up to 17 minutes. I'm aware that on Instagram, if they let me post this, I can only do so for 20 minutes. And I say if they let me post this because it's been blocked several times over. Not this particular video, but videos leading up to this. So I'm going to wrap that up in a moment. The other thing I do want to share is a quick, these two beautiful pieces, okay? When I talk about exploiting the earth, at the same time the diamond rose started appearing, I went to a car boot yesterday, and these, I will write about it in the blog because it's important. These beautiful pieces were dumped to one side. The man didn't know what they did. He just thought he'd make a buck or two out of them, and they've been cleaned, they've been cleansed. I rescue rocks. They've been cleaned, they've been cleansed, and they will start to settle in and be worked alongside, which is such an honor to be the guardian of these stone people. But what I'm getting at here is at one point these were trendy. I really feel that. At one point these were trendy collectibles that someone has tossed to one side. These have come from the earth. These are powerful tools. This week in particular, be mindful of the sacredness of the feminine that we are pushing to one side because it may no longer be popular or sparkly, or yeah, that's the other side of the magpie, right? They collect things that are sparkly. Why is that important? We're in the year of the magician. We're going to see a lot of healers rising, a lot of readers rising, a lot of ascension rising, which is wonderful, a lot of magic rising, and with that a lot of shadows in those areas rising too. So be mindful, not all that glitters is gold. Be mindful where you may have chucked away things that were quite important that now want to come back, particularly tools. You know, this is amethyst and ametrine. This is transformation and creativity and manifestation. Really feeling into that. I've got 1 minute. So what do we want to say on that quickly for Instagram? You can only create what you think you're capable of creating. And this whole year is going to be an invitation to delve deeper into your own potential. For the rest, you're going to have to pop over onto YouTube and we'll do a daily breakdown of the energies with the tarot and how to best navigate them. For those that are on YouTube or TikTok, the second half of the video, if you're here from TikTok, the first half will be available on YouTube or on Instagram, hopefully, fingers crossed. But for those of you that are here on YouTube, that have been here, I can't help but smile, from the beginning. For those of you that have been here from the beginning, that have watched things unravel, from the beginning, whether that is what's going on outside this video or whatever you're experiencing in life at the moment. Welcome. Stick with it. We're nearly there. I'm going to look into the energies this week with the tarot, and the tarot that I'm going to use are the Unfolding Path. You can't see them. We can't see the unfolding path. We can just see this glorious feminine energy, right? Yeah, when in doubt, when you can't see the next step in front of you, come back to the glorious feminine within you. And I'm not talking gender here. This goes beyond gender. I'm talking emotions, creativity, power, drive, sensuality, connection to the earth, connection to the heart, connection to each other, connection to family, community. These core values that are returning, that are trying to be eradicated with... I'm just going to say the word, I'm hearing distractions. Now, I'm not underplaying what is occurring. What I'm saying is keep it in balance. Prioritize your energy for the incredible currency that it is. Be aware of the incredible currency that it is and how it may be, feel that, how it may be being exploited. Okay, and take back that sovereignty in your awareness. So I can feel that and refuse to feel into that. That is a choice. Now, it doesn't mean that that's gone. I'm still very aware of that. That is a choice. Okay, so energies this week with the unfolding path. We may not know what is in front of us, but we do know what we feel because we feel it. Now, we can say that such and such made me feel something, or someone else made me feel. You're feeling it. You're choosing to feel it. It's your emotions, and it's time that we own that. Okay, so you know what you feel. You may not know what's going on in front of us at the moment, or you may look outside and think, oh my god, what is going on? That was very, very polite way of saying that. But come back, figure out what's happening for you, because that's going to change the interpretation of whatever you see anyway. Okay, so with the unfolding path, with the tarot, with the healing, with everything that I offer, the emphasis is and will always be on us, on you, on the individual, and how we can navigate the energies. Because until we take appreciation and recognition of that, we're always going to be done to rather than done with. Okay, that is the manifestation that's coming through. That is the potential over the next 10 years when it comes to creativity that is coming through. Okay. It is what this diamond rose is about. But again, as I mentioned before, I haven't processed the information yet. So I will not be sharing what I do not know. Can you imagine a world based on that? Okay, energies this week and how to best navigate them. Oh. Yeah, so there is a difference between an opinion and an insight. There is. I know obviously insights are based on our interpretation to an extent, but you will feel the difference. Yeah, you will feel the difference between an opinion that's in the head or an insight that's full-bodied or in the heart or the ground beneath us. You will feel the difference. And why is that important? Well, the cards that have come out, we have the Ten of Wands, the Queen of Wands, and the Eight of Wands, Nine of Pentacles to one side. So in order to avoid taking on too much, I don't know why I'm showing these cards. There's no point showing the cards. She's carrying a shopping bag of wands up the stairs, right? In order to avoid taking on too much, look at what you need. Does she need all of that shopping? Do we always need every piece of information that we're seeking, or are we avoiding something? Apparently we are. Are we avoiding something? Do we need to keep taking on the emotions and the beliefs and the understandings of other people, or can we concentrate on the strength that it takes to know that we can carry what is ours? We can ask for help. We can offer help. We are not on our own here. The Ten of Wands is a real individual, alone type energy as well. And it's that that's coming to an end. It's that has the potential to come to a close if we can come back to those priorities of community and family and support. I haven't seen as much arguing collectively this time round. Normally what happens, look out for patterns, okay? Really, really look out for patterns. They give us a great understanding of what's going on. We get so caught up in wanting things to change that we can't collectively half the time focus on what it is that's occurring and break it down. If we can look at the patterns and watch and break it down and observe, then we can figure out the bits that need shifting in order to change. I can see that, you know, when you have childhood bikes where you have the wheel going around and you have the spoke in the wheel that's got stuck. Okay, so being aware of the pattern helps us to recognize where we may be stuck, where we may be doing more than we need to, taking on more than we need to, trying to change more than we need to. It could be very, very simple this week. The one thing that needs to be shifted could be very simple this week with the Queen of Wands and the Eight of Wands. It's alignment, right? It's alignment. It's coming back to our spiritual truth. Be aware of the patterns. So one of the things I normally notice in the collective, when there's devastating things that come to light, everybody has an opinion because everybody has pain. Everybody has a reaction to it. Everybody has an understanding or their own version of it. Now, I'm not saying everybody is abused. I'm not saying everybody is, you know, taken from families. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is everybody will feel the abuse of power at one point in their life. Everybody will feel rejection at one point in their life, or loss, or loneliness, or where this is an undercurrent wound, right? A language that we all know. Pain is a language we all know, just in different interpretations of it based on the scenarios. So when something comes up that creates pain, because that's what this does, it creates pain. When the collective is unable to hold space for their own individual experiences of that, there is arguments. And I watch it. I watched it in COVID. I watched it with a lot of conspiracy, quote unquote, conspiracy theories. I've watched it with the latest news that is coming up. There's these arguments, and these arguments will get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then all of a sudden, the problem that caused the pain in the first place has almost been, it's disappeared. It's been pushed to one side. And then things settle down. And then when that problem comes up again, just in a different way, it's not as shocking. It's not as shocking because we've seen it before. So we become almost complacent to it. So something bigger will come along and the arguments will start. And we'll focus on that separation rather than building community or connections or love or being with the pain and supporting each other. It's the whole divide and conquer, right? Those arguments will build. Now, I see this happen in families. I see this happen in groups because people have different opinions. You know, I see this happening in friends. I see this happening all over the internet. I see this happening everywhere. However, it doesn't seem to have happened as much with this last one. With this last lightning bolt, if you will. It doesn't seem to have happened as much, the arguments. Now, I could be wrong, and you may think, actually, Kirsty, I've had nothing but inundated bitchery. But for me, it seems to have not fizzled out on its own. It hasn't caused the arguments, and it's starting to subside. My interest will be how we then respond when the next thing comes along. Because we haven't been placated. We haven't focused on attacking each other. We have felt, yeah, thank you, we felt the pain. I really feel that. Collectively, we felt the pain. And there's an element of, it's kind of the wrong word, but that's just my interpretation, pride there. That people have felt, and they've sat with what they felt, and they haven't attacked as much, and they haven't berated or questioned or placated. They've felt, and I've seen a lot of people come into their own strength with that. And for me, that's this diamond rose. That's seeing the sacred feminine, the sacred she rising, and in a more expanded way through our own ability to be with that, to be with her, to witness that reflection of her within us. That's the Queen of Wands, right? So when these things get too much, know that they are an opportunity for things to shift and to change. There is an ending coming, but remember that you get to choose the ending. If we separate ourselves, I mean, how many times are we in conflict with ourselves? If we separate ourselves from what we're feeling, that's not sovereign. Now, I'm not saying sit with something that you just can't cope with. Of course not. That's the other side of the Ten of Wands, and I'm guilty of that. Guilty as charged. Push, push, push. I'm not suggesting that either. What I'm suggesting here with the Eight of Wands is to have alignment. with your body, have alignment with your spirit, know what you can cope with. Excuse me, and from there, prioritize. For the love of all that is holy, prioritize your presence, your peace, your power. 3 P's this week. Presence, peace, power. Next, we're at 4 P's because we have a white peacock in the Nine of Pentacles, which is abundance. Ground into the things you have got without the privilege of guilt and shame. I see that a lot as well. When things happen, we can feel privileged, we can feel grateful for what we've had, and then there comes this mass of guilt and shame that is fed upon and pushed. We can be aware, we can be grateful, and we can then help and support. We don't have to be one or the other. We don't have to be just aware. We don't have to be separate in order to be grateful, and we don't have to be in it completely in order to give support. It's the analogy of, you know, if someone's in a hole, if you get in the hole with them, you're both in a hole, right? If you are able to support someone, that doesn't mean berate yourself because you're not in their position. It means bloody support them. Support them, you know, because at one point you may well be in that hole and they may be in a different position. Support them. Don't feel bad because you're not going through something or feeling something or whatever. Do what is asked of you and support. And sometimes that support can be grounded in your body and still and aware of what is going on for you and aligned in your own authority, because this is the biggest abuse of power there is, taking us out of authority. Okay, so I'm going to do energies this week and how to best navigate them. Right, okay. But that was going back to the whole difference between opinions and insights, okay? It's never been more important. Never been more important to recognise that that is the greatest tool we have. And so many people have chucked that to one side, like my little friend crystals here, that, you know, that are linked to the solar plexus. There's blue lace agate as well in with one of them. The solar plexus, our communication, and also the third eye. I can see a blue, I can see the heart chakra going blue now, actually. Okay, and that's linked to the diamond rose. But I digress. Recognising that when we do what we're here to do, we will process the information coming in anyway, and to trust that. That's why it's important to get on with what we're here to do, right? But the communication that we have with our vision, the power that gives us to transform what we see and inevitably then create, is going to come under focus, or is under focus actually, and I'm going to say it needs to be a priority. Yeah, I really feel that in my root chakra. Sometimes things just need to be said for what they are. Okay, energies this week and how to best navigate them. So we have the Seven of Swords underneath the pack, and actually I can feel my energy being pulled back, Sometimes we need to say things for what they are, to ourselves included. Okay, sometimes we need that focus, that kick up the jacksie of, look, this is making you feel like crap. Take responsibility. Yes, I know it's not nice, and I know you may feel as if there's things that you want to do, but all the time you're feeling like crap, you're not going to be helping anyone, yourself included. Be aware where the mind is causing more of an endurance than is necessary. One of the human traits of the collective is to focus on the negative. That's what gives us survival, right? But like my kittens, that halfway between the abandonment issues of what we know and wanting something different, we're in that point. We need to decide what side we're going to stand on. Not with each other, with ourselves. Okay. I feel like I want to add more. There isn't more to be added here because we have the Six of Swords. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Overall, I want 2 for overall. Okay, so really tempted to add more there. Very mindful of my own is that good enough type energy as well. Being mindful of that. That can be the biggest. Oh, okay, see where you're going. When we don't feel as if we're doing enough, when we don't feel as if we are changing things for people or shifting things quick enough or being productive, whatever phrase you want to put on it, right? It is coming from a place of love. It is coming from a place of wanting things to be different for that scenario. It is coming from a place of giving and sharing and openness and rawness and vulnerability. But it is still coming from a place of low worth. It is still coming from a lower vibration of being able to see things unravel the way that they are unraveling. Be mindful of our own smoke and mirrors this week. Be mindful where we may be confusing the situation because of the energy that we're coming to something with. And trust what we know. Trust, I know that other card didn't need explaining anymore. And yet here I am. I know that other card didn't need explaining anymore. Trust that, particularly on the Monday, particularly today, because we have the Six of Swords. In this deck, I've just seen the shadow, looks like a lion looking to one side. So yes, there is a lot coming in with the Lyran energy as well, regarding shadows, regarding shadow galactic energies, regarding so I see now that it's all linked to crystal skulls, that it's linked to like on another level type energy, and we can get really caught up in that. It's important to process. Like me with the rose, it's important to embody what is going on and to understand what's going on a human level, because otherwise it is just potential. We are part of the team. We are part of the ascension. We are part of the transformation in our physicality. In our physicality. Okay. In this deck, in the Six of Swords, she is walking alongside, well, wading alongside the boat. She isn't in the boat. What's in the boat actually is a dog, is a puppy. That's the first time I've seen that. Interesting. And a bag, and it's almost like the remnants of the Fool, right? We have the dog that's there and the bag that is being carried in those Ten of Wands, but the bag that's being carried by the Fool. She isn't in the boat. She's allowing things to move on their own. She's guiding them. She's in the water of the psyche. She's in the presence of her emotions and physically those mindsets that are heavy, that are from society, that are calling out inevitably our inner world, are slowly moving on. It's difficult. You can see that there's a little bit of light. But it almost isn't enough, particularly on the Tuesday, depending on where we keep our focus. This is where it's important to acknowledge to take care of the body. We have the Five of Cups, and yes, there is a mass grief occurring. The way that the world was, the way that we may want it to be, hey, if you were one of those people that knew all of these things were happening, okay, so now everyone else is more aware. What is your role? You can no longer be that person that knows everything's happening when no one else does, because people do. So even our roles in that, in the collective, in the psyche, they're all shifting and they're all changing. Everything is changing. Everything is moving. Grief can help that, or it can prevent it. Grief can be the water that moves things forward, or it can muddy it. And it all depends on our ability to be with that physically, to see the abundance of our emotions, to recognize the currency that it is, to create with that. Because on the Wednesday we go from the Five of Cups to the Ten of Pentacles, and most of these characters on here are actually masculine, but it's generational here. It's coming from the feminine, it's coming down in our actions, and it's being handed to this new innocent, beautiful version of the feminine that is rising. Now, it may not feel that way. It may not look that way because it's not supposed to. If we start to really sense what's going on underneath, dark as it may seem right now, there is, I don't know about anyone else, but there is a relief that these things are being acknowledged, heard, seen, spoken, listened to. They were always there underneath the waters, whether that's on the collective, whether that's individually. There are things coming to the surface for us all that we've always felt. We've always felt something was not quite right, whether that's in our family, our community, or the global scale. To have them come up actually empowers us. To have them come up gives us an abundance and a wealth of emotions that we can work with. To have them come up clears the slate. It may not feel it. It may not seem it, actually. If we think about it, it may not seem it. But if we feel into our bodies, sadness isn't a bad emotion, it's an emotion. To see everything going on and feel nothing, be mindful of the beauty of our sensations, of the richness and the fullness that is being stripped back because of our preference, because of our labeling, because of our interpretation of what is going on inside. Inside, things are shifting, they're moving, they're clearing. Yes, it may be through anger. Yes, it may be through grief. It may be through love. It may be through joy. They're still moving and clearing and shifting. By all means, name something. Call it for what it is, if it's going to empower you. If it isn't, taking responsibility for that, because on the Thursday we have the Sun card. This is the only deck where the Sun card isn't actually a child. It's a full-grown man. Which feels quite important to recognise the difference in our actions, to acknowledge whether or not they're coming from our inner child, the wounded inner child, or our healed whole. When I say healed, I don't mean perfect. I don't mean certain behaviours in certain ways. I mean whole, inner wild. There is a difference here. And that difference is the red cover that he's holding. That difference is how grounded, how sensual, how rooted, how rich, how physical we are with our actions. How willing we are to allow them to come down through our body. To, you know, when we think about creation, when we think about children, we gestate life. We gestate it. We don't talk about getting pregnant and then just a baby appears. We gestate it. We combine with other energies. Yeah, we have that masculine and feminine union within us, and then we gestate and we nurture and we care, and then we go through the process of labor and delivery. We don't just talk about it. There's something that's going to come to light a lot more over the next year, and I'm mindful of my own reflections on that I'm going through processing at the moment, so I'm not going to share too much on that until I'm able to hold space for what's going on for me as well. And that's the difference on the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That's the difference. Hold space for what is going on for you. Come back to complete wholeness and then act. Not react, act, initiate, innovate, because that potential is there on the Thursday. On the Friday we then have Temperance. Then what? Chop wood, carry water. Come back to normal life. Prioritise your emotions. Prioritise the flow of what is going on in your own community, in your own family, in your own life here. She's holding up 2 peace signs. The 2 cups are already, they're up in the air in this card, and they're just doing what they're going to do anyway. Yeah, there's this backwards and forwards that's going on at the moment. She has 2 peace signs up. Okay, she is holding her own presence here. Make that a priority. On the Saturday, we then have the Ace of Wands. We have a gift of something new, a different way of seeing something on the Saturday. Probably, well, particularly our own perspective of ourself and our own spiritual power. And that is the ultimate abuse of power, right? If we knew, I have to not keep my own energy down, but be aware of my own energy. If we knew our potential, guys, the chances of you being born are 1 in 4 billion. You're not here by accident. Yeah, you're not here. No, that doesn't mean you're not doing enough. Far from it. If you're there raising your family, you're doing what you're here to do. If you're there doing gardening or feeding birds or teaching children or whatever you're here doing right now, only you can do that. And the chance of you doing that is 1 in 4 billion. That's just until birth. Yeah, the chance of you being where you are now, doing what you're doing, it's incredible. And if we knew that, if we knew our own potential, to create. Yeah, what a gift that would be. And we're going to be becoming more aware of that as we go into the weeks and months. Beautiful thing, right? To be offered this wisdom and this knowledge until we then look at what's going on in our life or around us. And on the Sunday we have the Nine of Swords. What do I do with this? What do I do with all of these insights and ideas that are coming to me? Yeah, you say create with them, you say conceive with them, but how? You know, I'm up at X o'clock in the middle of the night with all these plans and I don't know what to do with them. Well, pick one. Chances are they'll all be connected to each other anyway, but pick one and allow things to start to shift and create with them. When we think about things for too long, it's that 5-second rule, right? When we think about things for too long, they become too big and too unmanageable. And on Sunday, that's the risk. On Saturday, we can be given this idea that is, wow, inspiring. On Sunday with that, yeah, we are going to be called to look at whether or not we feel able to do it mentally, because that's part of the journey. That's part of the training. Overall, and that's where I bring it full circle to the Seven of Swords, that's part of saying to that belief system that is now outdated, you've taught me all I can, I'm ready for this. That only comes in the actions. Overall, we have the Four of Cups. There's an apathy here. It's almost like we are focusing on the things that have been created and not what could be delivered differently as a result. And that's causing an emotional apathy. And that was the plan all along, right? That was the plan all along. If we can get people to argue amongst themselves, if we can get people to compare, if we can get people to be in conflict either with themselves or each other, if we can get them to weaken the incredible chains and roots of family and community, if we can keep showing people these things that are going on, it's not to say they're not going on, and it's not to say they're not devastating, but in between, if we can get them to fight amongst themselves and take the emphasis of what is actually going on, when it comes back again, they'll be less shocked, more apathetic, desensitized. And that is what's happening. Next to it is the Nine of Wands. It is down to us. It is down to us to see the patterns. It is down to us to be aware of the patterns, to hold court for ourselves as well, to be aware of the repetitive mindsets that are coming up. God, like I say, I've had lots of them. Lots of them. I really had to shake myself this week, but being aware of them. It's not about berating. It's just about being aware. Awareness is enough. It's always been enough for things to come out of the shadow and start to shift. Once we're aware of something, we cannot go backwards. You cannot not see the scene, okay? That will change our perspective. What we do with that then is up to us. We can be apathetic and think there's nothing we can do. There's no point. You know, we can go into the emotions. We can either numb them, placate them, ignore them, or we can feel. And we can want, and we can yearn for something different. And from there, we can put in steps to try and create that in whatever way we're being called to create. So overall, we have 1, 2, mindful of the time, 2 major arcanas, the Sun card and the Temperance. Value your light. Protect your light. Now, I don't mean you have to defend yourself. If you feel you do, if that's where you are, okay. But recognize when we're being defensive, that shrinks our light. This week, stand in it. This week, do the things that you enjoy. Be around the people that you love. Make the difference where you feel as if you're making the difference rather than where you feel as if you're not. Because I need to take that on board myself. That's an incredible, incredible distraction, right? To really focus on where you're not being seen. To really focus on where you're not making a difference, because then that takes you away from where you are. So wherever you're making a difference, I do a monthly market, right? In the local village. I do healings and things like that in the village. And it's not large fish, it's not huge scale, but I make a difference, and it makes a difference to me. Know that that's enough. Ground in that, root in that, blossom in that, Expand in that. Let those different cogs start to spin now. If everyone stood in their own lane and everyone stood proud in their own lane as the cogs that they were, the changes that could happen. Do what feels good. I know that feels absurd, or probably sounds absurd, in a world where we are surrounded by such negativity. It's never been more important. Defend your light in your actions. Yes, of course, concentrate on the energy around you, and be aware of when there are energies and you're not going to feed into them, or you can feel them or whatever, but don't shrink. Stand in your light. And if you're finding that hard, come back to basics. Look after the body. Eat, get some nature, be around people that you love. Watch a good film, read a good book, be human, live this life. Yes, there's a lot going on. Yes, there's some terrible things happening, but they are going to happen regardless of whether or not you live your life. Live your life, stock yourself up, and then get out there and make a difference from that energy, from that worth energy, not from the... There's a big difference between abundance and privileged. Recognize the difference. We then have 1, 2, 3 sword cards. Yes, it is the mind that's causing the heartbreak. What, Kirsty? Of course it isn't. Look at what's going on around the world. Yes, of course. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not downplaying anything that is going on around the world. But if it is bringing you down mentally, depression, anxiety, so much that your thoughts are running away from you, then mentally nothing is going to change. Your view of the world isn't going to change. Your view of your potential in creating something different isn't going to change. And therefore nothing is going to shift. This isn't bypassing. This is taking it in, being aware, looking after your body, being a guardian of your creative system, and then delivering something different. It is the mind that's causing the heartbreak. It is the mind that's taking us away from the body, which is causing the pain of separation, whether that's with each other or ourselves. We then have 1, 2, put that there, 2 wand cards, 9 of Wands and the Ace of Wands. So we can allow this spiritual energy that's coming in to create something with our hands. It's that saying, isn't it? The devil makes work for idle hands. Do something, create something, make something. Yes, it's the year of the magician. The magician transforms lead into gold. Lead is heavy energy into ascended energy. I mean, hey, it might be lead into gold for some of us, but take this heavy energy and create something with it. Get your hands in the soil. Write, pray, paint, love, laugh, create something with it. 9 of Wands or the Ace of Wands. In this deck, the 9 of Wands isn't defensive. She has them all stacked up behind her. She's done this journey. She knows what she's doing because she knows who she is in that moment. And it's that she's carrying forward. We then have 2 cup cards. The 5 of Cups and the 4 of Cups. Look, it's almost as if we have a choice between grieving and being in the pain or switching off. That isn't the only choice. That isn't the only choice. If we were to combine them both, we'd have the 9 of Cups. So feel what you feel to the extent that you can feel it. And then take some time. Be with what helps bring you joy and happiness. Recognise what is being offered to you. Restore the emotional balance. My mum has been gone 5 years now, and I still cry for her like it was yesterday. And every time I do, I always hear after about an hour, that's enough now, babe. Go and do something else. Now, I'm not bypassing the fact my mother's dead. She's dead. Physically she isn't here anymore. But I'm saying I've done that bit, especially the empaths amongst us all. Balance it. I've cried. Now I'm going to bring some joy, because we're releasing and we're bringing in. Release, 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 the year of the snake, but the year of the horse is also about bringing in, okay? Recognizing what we're bringing in, because they go hand in hand, which is the only pentacle card we've got, the 10 of Pentacles. Be in that state of abundance. connect to the sacred feminine that can, I'm seeing the Empress card, that can conceive and deliver, not through productivity. It's not about what you do, but through presence and being who you are. I was going to pull a card. I will pull a card from the Sacred She Tarot. Yeah, just the one, because I literally have about 5 minutes in this video. We'll cut out, so one card from the Sacred She. It is about recognizing our own beauty, the feminine within us, the many changes that have actually occurred to our light, to our structure, our crystalline structure. But this is beyond that. This is diamond. This is, that saying of compression and how things will turn to diamonds as a result. Yeah. So we have the Emperor, which is order. And then we have, I do believe it's the King of Swords, which is power. Recognizing in the Emperor, the cube is in the hands. Recognize the power that you have in your own hands and create with that. That will help you to recognize it, which will help you create, which will help you to recognize. We can go round and round and round in these cycles, round and round and round in these things that are returning, or we can reclaim the power that's always been within them, which is our own. Take care. I'll see you next week.